Welcome to AMP, the platform for multisport age group athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome back to episode 9 of AMP. Thanks for all your support. Woke up this morning and got a message through from Buzzsprout, the platform provider, and we've reached 1,000 listeners. So thank you very much for that, much appreciated. It's nice to hear that people are actually listening. I did think it was just my wife and the dog that listened, to be fair, but no, it turns out that there's a few more of you out there. So once again, thank you very much. Some more good news on the age group front. We can now re-register for our automatic spots for 2021 races. So for me, that's the ETU Sprint Triathlon and the World Multisport Champs that we're going to be in Almere. So that's nice, something to look forward to for next year, all being well. And further good news is that we get to wear our GB tri-suits for another year, which is brilliant as well because mine's hardly running yet, so we'll get another year out of that. So fantastic news, and thank you to British Tri. On this episode we speak to Yiannis Christodolou. After being inspired by the 2012 Olympics, Yiannis started off running and then moved to Aquathons with an already impressive palmarès, which include 3 top 10 World Championship Aquathon placings, a 2016 European Aquathon bronze medal, a bronze medal in the National Aquathon Champions in the same year, followed up by a 2017 Aquathon runner-up place. He was 2018 National Aquathon Champion in his age group. In 2017 and 18 he was British Aquathon Team Captain. 2019 again National Aquathon Champion, and in 2019 he became the European Aquathon Age Group Champion. He's also interim head coach for Canterbury Harriers, and he's also got his own YouTube channel, which is Yiannis Christodolou. He set up the channel to inspire others and show his journey so it can help them with their goals. He's got all sorts of useful videos on there, and they range from watching a day of his life in training, mistakes people make in training, heart rate training and how to work it out for your training, tips for a 5k PB, tips for training in the heat, the mental aspect of training, that'll be an interesting one. I've not watched that one yet. What to focus on during long runs, his own future plans in sport, which a little bit of that we'll cover in this podcast. He's got a video on what is an aquathon and how to get started. He's also got a video on triathlon race day, what to do before the race starts. So there's a wide range of different interesting topics on there that we could all learn from and benefit from. Get across to YouTube and have a watch. So over to the interview. Welcome to AMP. Great to have you on. Thanks for agreeing to do the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
I've seen a bit about you on your YouTube channel. I've subscribed. So
thank you very much.
I watch those. Pretty cool, thank you.
I think I recognise you. I think we sat next to each other in Romania.
Right.
Do you sit at a pizza restaurant by where the presentation was?
You know what? It's that long ago. I can't remember. Possibly. Was there a group of us?
Yeah, there was. I think there was about 4 of you, if I remember rightly. We were just finishing up, and you wanted to sit on. You asked if we could sit on our table. We said, yeah.
Okay.
We were chatting. I'm sure it was you.
You've got a good memory.
Yeah, I do remember. I do remember things like that.
Yeah. So how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, we're all right. How's lockdown treating you?
Yeah, it's been a bit different. Well, like everyone, I work for the NHS, so
all right, okay.
I actually I work in an office, but I got redeployed into a hospital back in just after Good Friday for 9 weeks.
Right.
And I was working in the kitchen. That's a completely different skill set to what I'm an analyst. So
okay.
Yeah, so I moved in the kitchen for 9 weeks, for a few days a week, just to help COVID prep food for COVID patients. It was a bit scary, but it did stress me out. But now I'm back to my normal job. So, one of those things, isn't it? What can you do?
Yeah, I mean, everything's just been a bit strange all around, isn't it? And, you know, going back to a totally different sort of environment and job must have been quite daunting, really.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really stressful. So I worked 2 days from home at the time, doing my normal job, what I could do, and it was scary because you never knew. You never knew if you were going to catch it or not.
No, that's true. Yeah. And also, I suppose preparing food for people who aren't very well is like quite a big responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah. I did mainly cleaning and chopping carrots and veg. So I wasn't allowed to cook or anything.
Yeah. But well done.
I wasn't really needed, but I was there to help him. So I did something back. So
sure. But other than that, has it sort of gone back to normal now then?
No, I'm pretty much at home 24/7 really, apart from training, and my gym's still not open yet. So everything's been adapted differently really. So what about yourself?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, I'm not doing much training at all, to be honest. I've backed right off. I've got a calf injury anyway, so just being on the bike and out on the bike and turboing, so trying to get my calf right so I can go back out running. But yeah, it is what it is. Like you, the gym's not open, the pools are just starting to open, and
I mean, even races are going ahead. Like they're going ahead next month, but most of my races have been cancelled till the end. I've got 2 in September, but I'm not really bothered about them because main focus is next year. There's no point because realistically, you need to catch up with all the training, like swimming and stuff like that. So it's not worth risking.
Yeah, I totally agree. So just tell us a little bit about your background, growing up as a child, and what sporting activities you did, and how you came to get into multisport.
Okay, well, so this will probably make you laugh. So back as a kid, I hated cross country, hated running. I had no interest in multisport back then. I played football with some friends, and that was pretty much all I did when I was a kid at school. I then went in. I then got a job and started studying and stuff like that. So I used to play 5-a-side with some friends, kick about once a week, and I used to be so unfit. It's unbelievable. I was completely knackered for about the best part of 3-4 days after we play it. But it was only a little kickabout. So basically, 2012 was where it all started for me. So I was hovering towards my coming up to 30, and I watched the London Olympics, and I remember coming home and watching the triathlon.
Right.
And obviously, you get hooked when you're watching. I always liked watching athletics and sport, and I got hooked and I watched the triathlon, and I was like, wow, this is really amazing. And you saw the Brownie brothers come first and third at the time, and I had no clue who they were. And I was like, it's quite inspiring. Maybe I should go and do something. And at the same time, I with my best friend, did a 10K about 3 weeks prior. And he said to me, I did a 10K in 55 minutes. And he goes, I sprinted it. And he said, let's join a club. So we looked to join a club, Canterbury Harriers, which now I'm the head coach of. And we both never looked back, really. So I started running in 2012, and I couldn't swim back in 2012 as well. So a lot of people say, so the whole idea of me was to do a triathlon. So I went to a triathlon class in my local leisure centre back, I think it was about January, February time, and I jumped in the pool, and she pulled me to the side and said, why have you got goggles on? I said, because you need to keep the water out your eyes. She said, well, you're not putting your head in the water. You're doing like this doggy paddle thing with your head. So I was that bad at it. So I didn't have a talent with that. I didn't have a talent with running. So I took up running, and I did swimming to try and do a triathlon. And in 2013, I did a triathlon. I turned up injured.
Oh dear.
I was very novice, didn't know what to do. I only went on the bike a few times. I bought a cheap bike from a second-hand shop, £50, and it weighed a ton. I turned up to the race. I'd done something to my calf, and I had torn. I got onto the run about a mile into it. I was doing it for charity, and I ripped my calf. I just felt like a dagger go across, and I hobbled back, and that was me out for about 6 months on and off, and I just kept coming back, getting injured again in the same place, and I nearly gave up. So, and that was that. And then, so I was convinced it was the bike, because the following year I got back on the bike and was training for a triathlon, and again the same thing happened. I got injured, so I sort of had a phobia in the bike, so I gave up the bike. I stopped doing it. So I started going into some studies and worked out, started developing as a coach and stuff. And I then got injured again. I got a massive Achilles injury and was out for 3 months. So I nearly gave up basically then, and I just wanted to. I was told just to carry on, and then from then I never looked back really. I was positive minded, and then fast forward to 2015, when injury free for a while, I looked at the Aquathlon, how to get in. The qualifying criteria has changed quite a bit since I first did it. And 2016, we came back from our honeymoon. We got married, and then there was an Aquathlon locally, and I said to my wife, I'll go and do it. I was on the study at the time about running and how to improve from long distancing. And the guy said to me, don't you dare go there tonight, because you're heavily jet lagged. And I said to him, I'm going to go there. So I decided to go, give it a go anyway. And I was completely tired. Loads of mistakes. I remember tying my shoelaces for about 4 or 5 times during the race, so I lost a lot of time. But at the time, I missed out by a second the age group time getting in. So right. I sort of was like, someone told me, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know anything about age group. It's only when I did it and someone mentioned it. So then in September, I was 2.5 minutes quicker, and I qualified. So I turned up in 2016 to I turned up to the National Aquathon Championships in 2016. I've never done a big race before, never knew what to really expect, and turned up to the race, started, bag of nerves, and someone knocked my goggles off at the start, so I just managed to catch them. I actually finished 3rd in my age group, so I was really happy.
Yeah, well done.
So I was really happy. So I'm going through the years, is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't want to stop your flow. So if you want to carry on, and then we'll sort of have a pause, okay. And we can go back, and I've got a few questions, but I didn't want to stop and break it up, so that's fine.
Okay. I'll go up to it, and then 2 weeks later, I was at the European Championships for GB in my age group, the Aquathlon at Sheppard, and I was a completely nervous wreck, and came out came out in. Because I sometimes, what I do, I memorise who's on in my race. So I wanted to do that to see, and I came out of transition. You know when the boxes are, and I was last. So I was like, I don't want to come last. It's a huge honour to represent your country, and I was really privileged. I just didn't want to come last. Just wanted to enjoy it. So I got onto the run. Run's my strongest point, and I just remember the last 400 metres. There was 2 athletes together, fighting each other, and I clocked them, and I thought to myself, this has got to be for podium place, surely. And the last 400 metres, I gritted my teeth, and I clenched my fists really tight. I know you shouldn't do, and I said mentally, I was like, if I collapse. I just got to go for it. And I was sprinting to the line, and then I found out I came 3rd, so I got 2 bronze medals on my debut. So I was really happy, yeah. And thanks, and I was really happy about it. And then that sort of set the tone. Obviously, once you've tasted a bit of success, you want more, don't you? And so I thought I'd better get a coach and try and improve myself, in swimming. And I got a strength coach for the following year, so I got a swimming coach. To cut a long story short, I did the World Championships in Cozumel, because I qualified off the back of the Nationals for it, and it was surreal. I had Alistair Brownlee in the same transition as me, which was amazing. I remember going up to him and just taking a photo of him, and he was smiling. But it was probably 10 baskets away from me, well, transition zones away. But he started off from the elites. I had a really bad race. I'm not going to go through loads of stuff because everything went bad. Like we were on the mainland and we had to try and find a hotel the day before. So I spent the whole day walking around and panicking and stressing. So the whole race didn't go to plan. So that was it, and I learned from that. In 2017, I got an injury, came ninth in the Europeans. I got an injury, unfortunately, 2 weeks before a calf injury, but it wasn't my run that let me down, actually, because mentally I was trying to save my leg in the swim.
Right.
But I actually had one of the fastest splits in the run, so I was happy I came ninth. I couldn't complain. I then did the nationals, came second in the nationals, so I was really happy.
Brilliant.
And then I went to Penticton, and I was the team captain for the whole entire Aquathon team, so 68 athletes.
Excellent.
And that was really really good. Like, I know they've changed the captains now, sort of the way they do the captains now, but that was really good because I managed to get most of the team. Basically, I got 48 athletes the night before the event, all together. And I arranged swim recce's and run recce's, but that was what I was most happy about. I got chosen, and I had 48 of them there, and their families as well. We had the whole restaurant bottom floor, and it was actually an amazing that evening, and it was a great way to spend meeting other people and chatting and stuff. And I had a great race. I finished sixth, which was my best position in the World Championships, and
well
I learned a lot from that race. 2018, I had ups and downs. The World Championships was first in Denmark. I came ninth with a really strong field with elites, and I even had someone that went to the Olympics in my field, so I was really, really happy. I was one of the first 3 Brits, and so I pre-qualified again. So I managed to pre-qualify every race I've done off the back of it. I then did the Nationals, which was a week later, and came back, flew back, and I came first in my age group. I didn't expect it because everyone else who did the race the previous week were knackered, and so was I. And I just remember them calling third place, second place, and then they called first place, and I couldn't believe it was my name. I actually thought I didn't get anywhere, so I was really happy. I was really happy with that. And then I'd been through the European Championships, came 18th, I think. I really struggled in that race. Again, things went wrong, so I learned from that. 2019, I moved to triathlon, so I was going to say goodbye to the Aquathons. I wanted to, a long time, because I went back on the bike, and a long time dream was to actually qualify for the spring triathlon team, and that would have been a dream come true.
Yeah.
So I had the Aquathon World Championships in Ponte-Driva right early in May. I came 7th from first Brit. I did a really good race, and I couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't far off the podium, so that set my season up. I then moved to triathlon. I won a race, and I podium on the race. So I won the race outright, and then I podium. I won my age group outright, and I came 4th overall. It was a good season coming up to it, and then I had the National Sprint Triathlon Championships. That was really, I kept that quiet, and it was a target race for me to try and qualify. It was my only time to qualify, just to test the water.
Yeah. Now,
I knew I wasn't very strong on the bike. I spent a lot of time on the bike, but not as much as I did this year. So I knew that was going to be a strong point. I came out of the swim in the second pack. The first person out was like a fish, so he was winning front. I came out joint second, 6 others. Got onto the bike, it started raining, and I was really, wasn't used to going around corners on the bike and stuff in the rain, so I actually eased off, and probably should have done. And then I got onto the run against my strong point. I'm normally one of the fastest, and that's what I like to push myself on the run to try and get that. And I was overtaking loads of people, and I came 11th, so I was happy with it. Yeah. And I missed out I missed out on automatic place and also missed out on the time percentage by 0.01%.
Wow.
But I did get a roll down place later on. So I got a roll down place, so I was really happy with that. And then I had the last race was the National Aquathon Championships, which was going to be my last one, and I wanted to defend my title and see how I could do. Everything went wrong the night before. The fire alarm went off. I was completely shattered on the day. I didn't think I was going to do well, and I managed to. I know now who I'm racing against. Came out in transition, knew I was up there, and then I came to the finish line and I was celebrating because I knew I'd won the
Brilliant.
back to back. So I was happy. And as for this year, all the focus was on triathlon. I spent more time on the bike, and I was aiming to do well. Me and my coaches were aiming to secretly top 10, but we were aiming higher because the bike improved so much over the winter. We spent so much time. So I've got next year. I've had a whole year of training. So that's pretty much where I am at the moment, really.
That's quite an extensive insight to what you've done, and you've progressed brilliantly since you started in 2012, especially considering you've been doing aquathons pretty much up until this year or last year.
I started in 2016, my first Aquathon 2016.
Yeah. So it's and being on the podiums and getting the medals and stuff's fantastic. And obviously qualifying for GB is just it's an honour for us all, isn't it? To get there.
Yeah. You must know the feeling.
Oh yeah. I remember it vividly. So just going back to when you started your aquathons, you said the qualification process has changed. So just explain, because obviously is it different to? I've never done an aquathon. I've obviously done aquathons, but not like competitively. So how's the qualification different to say triathlons?
So it has changed quite a bit. So when I first did it, they had a time for my age group was 35 minutes 01. Sorry, 35 minutes, and I got 35 minutes 01. They then changed it to qualify for the World Championships. I think it was the first ever World Aquathon Championships in 2016, but don't quote me on this. And you had to qualify. You had to go to nationals to qualify for that, which was at Leeds, the World Triathlon Series. But then, because I had managed to qualify off the back of either a national championship podium place or a European place, that's how or a top 10 European or World Championship place, and within the first 3 Brits. I've been able to pre-qualify from that.
Yeah.
But what I think it is now, I think you've got to come with a certain time percentage of the winner, but it's not.
Is that of a qualifying race?
No, any race with a aquathlon at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So you can turn up to a local event, but it's got to be British triathlon rules and affiliated, etc.
So it's very similar to sort of like long distance events and mid-distance events, where they can choose any race as long as it's got a certain number included in it, and put it and get a time percentage. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's it. So certain number, certain time, and I don't think it's with the person who wins it outright.
Right.
It's with your age group, but it has to be a certain amount.
Yeah.
So that's the qualifying criteria at the moment, and they do have set guidelines of roughly what times you have to aim for. So
right.
Yeah, well, they did have it last year. I don't know about this year because I didn't submit anything. So,
right, you're concentrating solely on triathlon then this year.
Yeah.
In your monologue there at the beginning, I noticed you said that you got a coach. So what part of the process and your journey did you decide, and why did you decide you were going to get a coach?
So firstly, I'm a running coach. So I'm a level 2 coach in running fitness, and I was a level 1 at the time. In 2016, I was going into a coach. I was finishing the coaching qualification off for level 2. When I qualified, I was like, well, I'm going to have to actually speak to some sort of coach for my swimming, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I just used to go and swim endless lengths, up and down, one pace, which obviously is the wrong thing to do. So I found a local coach. He looked at my technique and he gave me pointers, and he actually gave me some sessions to do, which was well structured. But my advice is, when you do find a coach, you need to don't just jump to one because they're local and they look good. You need to interview them. So I think if I had the knowledge, I probably wouldn't have needed him. this particular coach. In 2017, we parted ways because I wasn't improving swimming wise. So in 2017, I made big changes. I went for a strength coach because I knew I needed to do strength stuff. And I did that anyway, but I wanted someone to actually give me a proper training plan for what I should be doing and stuff. So I did that. I looked for a swimming coach, and I found a really good swimming coach, actually miles away from me, Bristol, which he does all my training plans, but he also liaises with a local. I do a masters class, but they've got loads of swimmers that represented GB in their age groups and been to the Commonwealth Games. She's an amazing coach. She basically just works on drills. So I work with them too. And then in 2018, so I've been working with them ever since. And in 2018, I looked for a running coach. I've got a couple of friends that are actually a qualified running coach. And one friend helped me out, just the things that I might have missed and something new. And then I had another friend back of last year, Mark Sheppard. He, good friend, I met him on Twitter actually, back in the early days. And he's a fantastic athlete for his age, and he's been doing it for years. And he's a cycling coach, a running coach. And so we work together now in my running, and he does my cycling as well. So, but I think it's important to have a plan, and I don't think you don't need to pay massive amount to help. And I think it's important that you do look for other avenues if you want to be the best you can.
So you say it's good to have a plan. So what's the process when say you're looking at next year? For example, what's the process that you'll go through at the beginning of, say, winter time, and then to get your plan up and running for the next season? Can you explain that?
Okay, so after every season, I will have 2 weeks off, no training. That's to help your body recover, rest. You know the score. So and mentally prepare. Then to start building it very slowly. So I'd start off with like a 30-minute run, for example. Well, not even that, 15-minute run and 30-minute, and build it up slowly until like January time. And then when it comes January time, start focusing on more like base miles, endurance miles, stuff like that. And then we start introducing interval sessions and hard sessions. And then after a few months, peak for 2 races a year, so you can't peak for more than 2 races, and normally you'll have one that probably May, and then the other one will be September. So you try and make the peaking cycle twice. So swimming will be working on drills. I work on drills all year round because you need to work on technique. Technique is where you're going to get the time. You don't need to be going. People thrash themselves all the time in the pool. You don't need to do that. I do one hard session a week in the pool, and the rest are drills and really easy sessions. And again, it's all like zone 2 training. So I do a lot of zone 2 training. So running will be zone 2. There'll be like one hard session a week. And then when it comes nearer to the season, I start upping the intensity a bit. So you might have, if I run 4 times a week and I do one hard session, I might increase that to 2 hard sessions. And then, so we're working towards certain races. So my A races. So that's how it would be.
And obviously you use a plan. Training peaks, is that what you use, something like that?
No, I don't actually use training peaks. So I get them all in Excel spreadsheets, and I just put them into a plan. I've got a plan, and I get my swimming sessions for every month. My strength sessions, they depend. They could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, depending what they are.
It sounds like you get all these bits and pieces and just put them all together yourself and make your own plan.
Well, I did, but Mark Sheppard, basically he is the main coach now. He tells me when to do. He knows what days I can do what, and he puts them in, and he tells me what intensities I should be doing. So as well as my bike and running, he would say, like for example, Monday you do your swim, easy swim, and you'll do your strength session on the Monday as well. And then he'll say Tuesday do a strength session and do a hard run session. So it'd be stuff like that. So he manages that, but he gives me the list, and then I put it into like an Excel spreadsheet so I can see what I'm doing.
Got you. Out of all of the process, what's your favourite part?
Just making friends and meeting people and all different like backgrounds and all, everyone's stories. Like everyone that I've met always had an inspiring story. Like I mentioned that I couldn't swim and I only took up running, but there's people like that I see. Like I speak to people and they say, "Oh, I only started 6 months ago" and stuff like that. Or, it's just and I've made a lot of friends out of it, and we always meet up and we go out and road there, and it's just the being with the GB the vibe with the age group team. It's like it's very much of a team, and it's a team feeling. Everyone's together, like, and everyone helps you and pushes you along. Whereas, I could represent if I wanted to Cyprus, but because I'm Cypriot background,
right.
And for me, I've seen them turn up to races or other countries' turn up to races, and it's just one athlete there. And for me, it wouldn't be the same. Like it doesn't feel right, and it doesn't. When I speak to some of the Greek athletes I know, and their whole system is completely different, and they don't get the same. They're very much a loner. Whereas I just like being with other people and being motivated with others, and pushes you along.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think you're right about other countries. They just haven't got that backing that we've got from British triathlon.
We're quite lucky, and also we get the chance of going to like these wonderful places we've never ever thought we would go to.
Absolutely. Could you tell me a few hints and tips that you would offer any, either multi-sporter who's looking to qualify for GB and somebody who's new into the sport and wants to do an aquathon or wants to do a triathlon?
Well, firstly, I'd say you need to have a structured plan. So be patient. Don't be impatient, because you'll just rush and you'll get injured. Now, the problem is a lot of people make mistakes with their training. Is that they actually go too hard. They overtrain. Now, the reason people overtrain is because they don't realise, or two, they think speed sessions or interval sessions are going to make them quicker, when actually they will, but not as much as people neglect the slower training, which actually will make you go faster as well, because they make you more efficient, endurance, and it also, if you're going slow, it actually teaches your body how to burn fat instead of carbs, which is a more efficient energy source, because when carbs run out, we all know your body hits a wall. That's why marathon training, you do a lot of slower training. So the thing is, a lot of people with the intensity, they fall in the category, they go moderate. So the problem is with moderate is that you're overtraining and people don't realise. So you really need to be doing heart rate training, like zone 2, like 60 to 70%, 70% absolutely max. So you want to be 60% most of your training of your heart rate max. And that's the key, really. So basically, hard days hard, and easy days easy. So I train 6 days a week, and at the moment I have one hard day a week. So that would be a hard bike session and a hard run session, and that would be a real hard day. The rest are all steady zone 2 training days, and I'm improving hugely. From it. So that's a mistake. And also, you've got to take time with your training. So you can't, for example, if you like doing running, do mile reps, you can't just go and say, well, I'm going to do 6 mile reps there. You need to build up to it. So you have to build up slowly. I say work to 3-week or 6-week blocks, then take a recovery week. Don't neglect rest. Rest is important. It helps you improve.
Sure does.
It does, and it stops you getting injured. And I have a 1 rest day regardlessly a week. Sometimes I have 2 if I'm not feeling it. I will have a recovery week every now and again. So every 3 weeks, every 6 weeks will be recovery week. So everything will be dropped, like the volume and the intensity will be dropped. With COVID these times at the moment, once the European Championships were cancelled in May and the National Championships were all cancelled, I decided to back off. I've got training hard, and I did 2 weeks easy training. Now, when I mean easy, I went really easy. So I was running with my wife, and I was going from doing 7-minute mile zone 2 training. I was running with her doing 9-10-minute miles runs, only 30-minute runs, not a lot. That's like half what I do. I cut all the sessions down. I came back, tested myself after 2 weeks. I technically got a PB in training in the 5K. It wouldn't have been a PB because I've trained quicker, but it was quicker than my official PB. And the power on the bike was 2 watts down. So that's how important rest is. So you need to taper for races. I've always had great races off the back of taper. If you're ill, don't push or chase that session. You need to make sure your body is fully recovered. Your body's telling you to stop. And even niggles, just be aware of them. And just don't do too much too soon.
Great hints and tips there. Wise words indeed. What's your favourite piece of equipment and why?
Cool. Well, I'll have to say my favourite thing it's got to be my running trainers, because I started running and you can just put your running trainers on and you can just go out anywhere really. You can just run, escape. You can see natural beauty, wildlife, relaxing time, thinking time, mental health benefits, well-being. There's so many benefits just with a pair of trainers. So I'd say that obviously that is probably the one that I can't do without, really.
Cool. Excellent. And what, if any, resources do you use off the internet or podcasts or books? Or where are your go-to resources?
Well, I've been on a lot of studies, so I have a lot of knowledge. So like VO2 max studies, running economy studies, warm-up studies, which I've all incorporated into my training over the years, which have obviously helped me. So I always look at studies to see, especially from university students. So I look online, looking for what they're doing, because that is quite useful to know. Like, because their research, they're always trying to find something new. So that is something I look at. I do listen to podcasts. I've listened to a few of yours.
Thank you.
And you've had some inspiring people on there. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. One that I do watch is the GTN Triathlon show.
Yeah, it's good that.
Because they post every couple of days, so there's a lot of stuff on there that I look and just to know what's going around really. I subscribe to the 220 Triathlon magazine, so you get to know a lot of stuff from that as well.
One last question, I guess, and I guess it's a bit hard to answer at the moment with what's going on. What is your short-term goal, and what's your longer-term goal?
So this year I was meant to represent Great Britain, and I was going to see how it goes, and also the first British Aquathon Championships was this year. So I was going to do that as it was the first one. I thought I'd best go, but I wasn't going to go to the nationals. So I was focusing on triathlon mainly, and then me and my wife wanted to start. Well, we're trying to start a family, and we obviously next year would have been probably a year out. But now, because my place has been rolled over to next year, I want to represent. So when I do something, I give everything 100% in training. So it's basically all focus is on next year, to be honest. I'm working more on the bike to improve the bike, and it's more focused on the European Triathlon Championships, wherever they are. Short-term focus, I'm just enjoying training, no pressure at the moment. I've actually really enjoyed it more, which is actually quite surprising, and no pressure. I've got 2 triathlons at the end of September. I've looked around to see, should I do triathlons in August, but I'm just going to do these triathlons in September with no real goals, just to enjoy. And basically, my training is just like a building phase all until next year now, and to focus on that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's a great place to stop it. Thank you ever so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, Richard.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And we can end it there. Well, that was a great chat with Yiannis. Really enthusiastic. Learnt quite a bit there actually. My takeaway from that is to start looking at university studies. Never thought of that. Love the way that the Olympics inspired him to get going. Since he's got going, he's never looked back. Long may it continue, and I hope again to watch another GB age grouper develop and get better and better, and see how far they can take it. Fantastic stuff. Thanks again, Yiannis. Right, well, that's another episode down. If you've enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to leave us a comment, and you can subscribe. If you've got any comments, just leave them and we'll have a read. I always like to hear some feedback. If you want to get in touch, you can get in touch by email, Agegroup Multisport Podcast at gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at amp_1967. You can find us on Facebook at ampgb. You can find us on Twitter at Agegroup Multisport Podcast. And thanks for listening. Keep training, stay safe, and love the process. We'll see you next time.